Good afternoon, everybody. Verl Workman, Big V here with Workman Success Systems, and welcome to another Wednesday's Flash Briefing. We have a tremendous show for you today, and I have an exciting guest. The one, the only, Mike Koch is with us. Mike, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Great to be here, Verl. Good to see you, and I can't wait to dive deep into this with you. It's always a good time.
We're going to have fun. It's going to be fun to figure out what it is actually we're going to dive deep into. I was on a walk this morning with the retired gentlemen that have taken me under their wing as a retired project. And I told them I have a great guest today, and I was telling them who it is. So, Paul Broadwater and Lon Clayton, if they may be joining us today, and you can tell them what I really do. They haven't been able to figure it out yet.
Well, hopefully we'll give them a little better idea later today, right?
Yeah, we've got people that have joined the call already. As you jump on the call I'm Verl Workman. This is Mike Koch. I want you to make sure you go into the comments and say hello. Let us know that you're here, who you are, where you're from. Reed Martin's already on the call. Mike, he says hello. Michelle Wilson's with us. She's always fun to have on the Facebook Lives. Tammy Slay, the one and only Tammy Slay, the amazing, crazy Tammy Slay is with us. And Chris Congolatori is also here. And so we're excited. We've got a good group. We're going to have a great group today. So let's go through. Hey, Mike, let's do a little bit of a Mike introduction. I think I'm not sure where I first met you, but you were one of our early on coaching clients. And the reason I know that is because Jim Knowlton's your coach, and he doesn't take on very many coaching clients. When we first started this company, Jim was our guest last week, and we were talking about how the company got started and the first few clients that we had that came on board, and some of them were a challenge, and some of them are still with us. And you're in the still with us. You're in the still with us column. And it was kind of fun to talk about that history. And so I've kind of watched Mike grow. Mike has a team in Wisconsin, and he's come from, he's a former Marine. He's got a tremendous background. He has a crazy, great family. It's fun to see that his wife, Ann, is involved in the business. She's the reason they have any success at all. Wouldn't you agree with that, Mike?
All the success.
All the success is because of his awesome wife, Ann, and he's got a son, Chris, that works with him in the business. It's just fun to see their team and their family grow, and it's been kind of fun to watch Mike grow personally. I watched him go from a really good realtor and someone who runs a decent business to becoming a great leader, and that's a really cool transition, Mike. I have a lot of respect for you and for what you've done in your life and what you continue to do with the families that you serve on your team. So welcome, and thanks for being here.
I appreciate that, Verl, and you've had a lot to do with that. I've been with Workman Success for 4 years, and just being able to spend time with your family and your extended family of coaches it's done a tremendous amount for me to grow as an individual.
We just have fun, it's the key. If it's not fun, I'm not going.
That's absolutely.
If we ever start taking ourselves too seriously, Mike, I want you to go Semper Fi on me. I want you to get the Marine out and say, knock it off, big guy. Because we're just not that great. We're just surrounded by really great people is kind of my key. Hey, Brad Doak says, hey, that's my coach.
Hey, yeah, Brad's one heck of a guy. I have a great time coaching him. He's down in Florida, and Brad's one heck of a guy, and he's building a really good team.
Yeah, I did your great introduction, and I introduced all the things that you are: a team leader, a great dad, and a good husband, and a leader. But I forgot the part where you're also a senior coach with Workman Success Systems. So you coach a lot of our clients and have tremendous success with them. So, Mike, let's just kind of get into it today. First, tell me what do you think people need to know about you?
Well, I don't know that it's that interesting, to be honest with you, but just a little bit about my background. I served in the United States Marine Corps, and after I got out of the Marines, I went into the golf business. And then when I was in the golf business, I had an opportunity to work with some investment properties on a neighboring golf course development that was being built. And I ended up buying some land there, sold that land, and I had so much fun with it, made some good money. And I said, hey, if I could ever do this for a living, I think I'd find my dream job. And it wasn't but probably a couple of months after that, I saw an ad in the paper for a land consultant. It was somebody who was going to sell recreational property, primarily on the lakes around Wisconsin. And what people don't know about Wisconsin is that, you have Minnesota, the land of 10,000 lakes, but Wisconsin has over 15,000 lakes. So There's a lot of opportunity out here for waterfront property. I jumped into that business in 2001, became a full-time licensed agent working for a land development company selling recreational property. And 4 years later, took over as a general manager for that company. The guy who had hired me into the business went down to North Carolina. I helped him open that office down there from a sales perspective. And then I started running the operations in Wisconsin until 2010. Unfortunately, the economic crash drove that business out of business, and I had to find something else to do. Well, The most money I'd ever made in my life was in real estate. So my wife and I said, hey, let's open our own real estate company. And we did that in 2010. I'll never profess to be the smartest guy, because I don't know that starting a real estate company in a mortgage and housing crash is the right thing to do. But we did it. We got calloused. We survived it, and we're a lot stronger because of it. And we pretty much just ran our business steady. It was very comfortable until 2015 in December, when we met you at a brokers conference in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Actually, we talked about my wife and all good things happened through her. She's the one that met you, and she said, Mike, you got to come meet this guy. And he's the exact guy that we need to help us in our business. And so you had such a line of people waiting to talk to you that I never got a chance to talk to you that day. But we left our card. We set up a business consultation January of 2016. I knew in the first 15 minutes of conversing with you that you were the guy. I wanted to spend some time with you and have you guide us in our business. And then in February 2016 is when I started with Jim Knowlton.
Wow, that's a good memory. You're one of those guys that can remember what you shot 5 years ago on the fourth hole, the third shot where you shot a little bit short of the green. You're one of those guys, aren't you?
I only remember the important stuff. And unfortunately, my golf score is so poor, I try not to remember those.
That's funny. On our walk this morning, they were asking me, one of the guys said to me, how do you know if what you do works? And I said, I think when we started coaching Mike, he was doing somewhere in the 50 to 60 transactions a year. And I remember in June of this year, he closed like 55 transactions. And so he's doing in a month what he used to do in a year. And they said, what? Like, that's unbelievable. Is that really true?
It is really true. When we started, we actually hadn't hit 50. I think the year before we started, we were maybe 45 transactions. It was me, one other salesperson who was really trying to just getting involved in it, not even real full time, and an admin person. And so, yeah, we were below 50 transactions at that time, and our pending
that's annual.
We're currently carrying that in pending transactions now.
You're talking about that a year, right? You were there yearly.
Yeah, that was per year. Yeah.
And what does your pending look like today?
We had a lot of closings last week, so I think we're sitting around 45, 46. About 2 weeks ago, we were at 54.
So what's changed? So has what you believe is possible changed? I mean, like what you thought you could actually accomplish, has that changed at all?
Yeah, absolutely. I never knew the first year that I got into coaching, the hardest thing for me was that 5-year projection. Like where do we want to be in 5 years? And when we were flirting with that 5-year projection by year 3, it was like, holy cow, there's a lot more that's possible. And just being able to surround myself and make friends with people like Christy Buck, Lee Tessier, Bob Sokoler, Nate Martinez. I mean, these guys are all running hugely successful teams. And so they're the ones that they keep elevating that ceiling for me, because they're so much farther ahead. And I know that is possible. So that's really fun.
It is really fun. A lot of people are saying hello, and they just think you're awesome. So Mike, I'm gonna, one of the things people do when they start teams is they have this belief that in order to be successful, you have to have 40 people or 25 people on your team. What does your team look like today? Give me a kind of a picture of what your team looks like.
Yeah. So, and when you talk about things being successful, I mean, it all goes back to our team. I'm not the one who's out there doing 50 and 60 transactions. It really is our team that's producing that. Right now we have myself as, kind of the team lead and in charge of listings, but also our sales manager, Chris. He does a lot on the listing side as well. And then Kirk, he's our third listing partner. We have 6 full-time buyer agents. We have a marketing coordinator, a client care coordinator, my wife, who is the director of operations. We're currently in the process of hoping and looking to hire another listing partner, 1 or 2 more buyer agents, and an executive assistant as soon as possible.
And so you don't need 40 people.
No, absolutely not. As the team starts to grow, there starts to be some other issues that come into play too, the growing pains. But I think it's important not to grow too fast, because you got to have the right people in the right seats. And that hiring process is so important. I just got done talking to Jim Knowlton about that this morning as we did a group coaching call. And we talked about that hiring process and getting the right people in place to make that train run on tracks.
Yeah, it really is true. It's hire slowly and fire quickly is our motto. You want to take your time and do it right, even though you have specific needs. When you started building your team, tell me what your thought that you would build would look like. What were you hoping to build?
I didn't really know at that time. Jim's been really instrumental in helping me guide what it can look like and what it will look like. At that time, when we started off, I knew I needed to hire another buyer agent or two. We had enough business. I know that I needed to focus on the listing side of things. But as a team started growing, my priorities started changing. It went from being in full-time production on both sides of the business to doing no buyer work and focusing 100% on listings, because the listings are what was going to grow the team. And then we bring in the buyer agents to help handle the lead volume based off the listings. But then even that started to grow. As the team started to grow, then my focus became more on recruiting and hiring and less on production of even just listings. And now I'm trying to get to the point where I can be the true CEO of the company, where I'm really not in production other than maybe doing a little bit of work with my family and my friends and my sphere of influence, but really guiding the ship, doing more training, doing more coaching with my own team, and continuing to hire and recruit the right people.
You know that I love to hear you say that, right? You just gave me, I'm like a proud papa. I'm like, yeah, that's my man right there. And I also want you to know that it's recorded. So we're going to use this against you at some point if you continue to not give up the buyers and sellers.
Yeah. Verl, can I share my screen? Do I have that capability real quick?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, let me try sharing my screen here with everybody. I'm just so dang proud of my team right now that this is our current team right here. And, a culture is really, really important to us. Hiring the right people and hiring the right fit is the most important, even above skill set. And I'm just so proud of these guys. I wanted to share that group with everybody on the call today.
They are awesome. And I recognize most of them. Like that's a fun group of really good people that make a difference. And it's fun that you want to highlight them. One of the things that I've learned is great leaders don't look for ways that they can be successful on their own. They look for ways they can help their people be successful. And you're making a difference in every single one of their lives as they go out and help people. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for sharing your team picture with everybody. It's fun for everyone to see that. So, Mike, when you have all of these people join your team and you get all these agents coming in, there's this pressure on team leaders that they feel like they have to spend billions of dollars on lead generation. And one of the things I've learned about you, and you're a coach, is that being profitable is more important than selling a whole bunch of houses. And so you've created some really cool systems. I would like to spend a few minutes today and talk about zero or low-cost lead generation. How do you create opportunities for all these amazing people? And before you go in there and answer that, Tammy Slay says you're amazing. I want people on the Facebook Live to go in and ask Mike questions. Use the comment board. Tell us that you're here and where you're from, and make sure you ask questions. I challenge you to give Mike a question he can't answer, and let's give him something hard. So use the message board on the Facebook Live. Ask questions. We'll do our best to answer them before we wrap up. So, Mike, talk about do you buy all your leads? Do you tell your agents that you're just going to provide them with everything? Talk to me about your philosophy towards the role of an agent in lead generation.
I don't believe the team leader has a role to provide leads to the team. We want to teach them how to hunt so they can go out there and generate their own business. When COVID hit, it really cemented that. A lot of people were seeing their Zillow and their Realtor.com lead flow slow down. I know that both of those big portals were giving discounts for people to stay in their programs. But I think it's important that you have multiple pillars of income and multiple pillars of lead generation. And I don't think the team leader has that responsibility. Putting people in place, removing the impediments, coaching them, keeping them on track, inspecting what they expect. Those are all things that the team leader has a responsibility for. Lead generation, not one of them. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't spend a lot of money on marketing and generate a lot of leads. But when I have people that are interviewing, that's not the thing that I'm going to promise. Are they going to get leads? Absolutely. But I'm not just hiring them so I can feed them leads and that they can just rely on that single pillar of team generated leads.
Interesting. And so what are the things that you do to teach them how to generate leads on their own? How do you get that next level of lead gen?
Well, the biggest thing that we start them off on, and this is literally in the first couple of days, sometimes before they even start, is to work with their sphere of influence, to create a top 50 list. And for any of those people that are on this call that don't know what a top 50 is, it's basically taking the 50 people in your sphere that are most likely to refer you or do business with you and just engaging them at a high level, at least once every month. So teaching them how to work that top 50. Usually when we have a new agent start, we ask them to already fill out their top 50 tracker before they even come on board. When they come on board, we teach them the scripts and the dialogue and the initiatives that we're going to take throughout the year so that they can start working that. In my opinion, that should be your number one lead source. And quite frankly, it's the most fun lead source to work, period. Then we get them into dialing. That first week, they're calling through their top 50. So that's one spot that any new agent or any existing agent, if they're not maximizing their sphere of influence in their top 50, they need to get after that.
Yeah. So just a couple questions that come up on. One is Tammy wants to know if you have pillars for yourself that are different than pillars you have for the team.
Yeah, absolutely. So I do have pillars for myself. One of them is going to be investing. Investing is going to be a pillar of mine so that I can build my book or build my portfolio for future retirement. A team pillar might be open houses. It might be expireds. It might be FSBOs. It might be sphere of influence and maybe past clients. But for me, my team is also a pillar, right? I want to surround myself with additional team members so that I can grow the team, grow the revenue. And then when I grow the revenue, I can provide more back to my team. One of the things that is on our goal in 2020 is to be able to provide all of our team members, agents included, with a medical benefit. Well, I have to financially get to a certain point where I can afford that for my team. And there's not a lot of real estate companies that are doing that. So as an independent, being able to provide that benefit to my team, I think would be absolutely amazing.
It would be huge. Part of the reasons people want to stay with you is because you're looking out to find ways to provide them with better services and experiences. So tell me a little bit about, so we talked about low cost lead gen. You said work your top 50. You developed a program that you call your MVP program. I'd love to have you share that with our audience a little bit.
Yeah, so we took the top 50 program and we basically put it on steroids and we created what's called Mike and Ann's MVP Club. This was everybody that was in my wife and I sphere. It was my personal past clients. And we took the engagement from just being a phone call or coffee once a month to having a monthly giveaway, having quarterly events, having different layers of our club and based off of the business that they refer to us. And when I say that, I got to back up. I want to make sure that I'm RESPA compliant, is that it's not the business that they send to us, but it's just a reward for the referral. So if you put me in touch with your friend and I get a chance to meet with your friend, I'm going to give you a little token of my appreciation and send you a gift. And we have different levels within our club. We just started that last April, and I'd say that we probably work the club at maybe 50% capacity. There's so much more room for us to grow within that club. But the last time I checked in that 1 year, we had closed over $200,000 at GCI and had another $100,000 that was pending. So in the first year of tracking it and running the club, we had generated approximately $300,000 of gross commission income. And my spend in that year was right around $6,000. So we have roughly about a 50 to 1 ROI on that. And quite frankly, it's just fun.
What I think is amazing about that is that, very rarely we try, when we do lead generation sources, we try and get a 6X, right? So if you're spending money on Zillow or realtor.com or homes.com or any of the good portals that are out there, if you're not getting a 6X, then we train to the gaps. We try and figure out why and how, and we solve that problem. You're getting, a big time multiple, way more than 6X on your sphere. And people are looking to work with strangers, and you get to work with your friends.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Take those raving fans, those people that already know, love, and trust you, and help them out. Because quite frankly, if I've got a friend in my community who I'm not top of mind and they end up using somebody else and they have a bad experience, that bad experience was on mine. I should have stayed top of mind to that individual and provided an exceptional experience so that the home buying process and the home selling process was fun.
Yes, so true. So agents have there's a misconception out there that people don't call off signs. They don't use the 800 numbers. You're a big proponent of a company that we like called VoicePad and working lead generation, lead conversion for that. Tell us a little bit about what it means to be a power user of that tool.
So VoicePad, there's multiple call capture programs out there, but the one that we choose to use is VoicePad. And we've used some of the other ones, and we like VoicePad the most. But what it does is it takes, instead of just having your name and your phone number and your website on the sign, is it creates a toll-free number with a specific extension for that property. And when somebody calls on that extension, they get a recording, 35-second recording of the details of that property. Now, not all the details. We're not going to give the qualifiers away like price, number of bedrooms, bathrooms, and square feet. We hold that back because that's the carrot to get them to connect with an agent. While they're listening to that recording, the system is reaching out to every one of our agents. It's calling every agent and our office, and those leads are on a first come, first serve basis, because our goal is to put a live agent with a live caller while they're sitting in front of that home, or if they picked up a flyer while they have that flyer in front of them. We have about an 85% connect rate, and these leads are going to be some of the best leads that money could buy, quite frankly. They're sitting in front of the house. They've already seen the house. The curb appeal is enough to get them to call. They're in the neighborhood. That's a very qualified buyer and one of our top 2 lead sources. So when they call in, it creates a live connection versus an internet lead where you're just trying to text them, email them back, or call and get them on the phone. It's a live conversation that happens immediately at the time that the buyer is the hottest.
And what are you saying to them? Are you saying, let's meet, let's get you in that house? Are you going for the appointment?
Well, absolutely. If they're out there, let's get in there and let's get an agent there if we can right away. I mean, if it's 10 minutes away, we'll have an agent there in 10 minutes. If it's an hour away, hey, do you want to go grab lunch somewhere, and we'll meet you in an hour. But yeah, we want to go for that appointment right away.
So geography wise, tell me about your market. Where are you? What's the area you serve?
We're in the greater Madison area, Madison, Wisconsin, and we're just outside of Madison in a small town called DeForest. We basically have 2 segments of our business. One is our residential, where we work in Dane County, Columbia County, and we also have a lake component where we do venture out further. We'll go about 80 miles out from our office to serve the lake community. We've built a big name in that area because that was where my land development came from. So we had a big database of previous clients and name recognition. And we've just continued to dominate that market as well as penetrate the residential market. So we have primarily about a 30-mile radius, but for the lake properties, we'll go up to about 80 miles out.
Wow. All right. Okay. So here's a good question for you. So during COVID, have you seen an uptick in lakefront properties? Are people like no longer wanting to be on home arrest and want to get up to the lake?
Yeah, that's funny because we talked about that this morning on our group coaching call too. There's a lot of people who are talking about getting out of the city, and our lake market is 2.5 to 3 hours away from Chicago. It's 3 hours away from the Twin Cities. So we're really nicely positioned within 3 hours of about 12 million people. And we have seen an uptick. Matter of fact, we've chewed through the available inventory of homes on the surrounding lake. So we're aggressively going after more inventory. Even land, there's been more vacant lake lots that have sold this year than what sold all of last year. And I think some of that is not only to get out of the city, but I think some of that's also a diversification of their portfolio.
Yeah, a little speculation going on.
Yeah.
So I really like that. So Ellie Feldman asked a really good question, and it's about ISAs, and that is, what do you think about having an ISA? And if you support it, when's the right time? When do you consider bringing somebody on? Let's define an ISA.
Yeah, so an inside sales agent, somebody who's most likely going to be making calls to your database or fielding new and incoming leads. And I can't say that I have a handle on the best system for running an ISA program right now. I know that I'm talking around to other workman coaches, and I know you guys are working on a program for that. But I believe first and foremost that before bringing on more ISAs, you need to just hire out more buyer agents. If you can't keep up with the lead flow, then you need to hire more buyer agents. I know one thing for us is that when our lead flow is too high for our current team, is we see the nurturing start to stop. We see them spending more time just trying to ramp up the new leads, put them into our systems, follow up with them, and the lead flow is too high. We start to see our conversion rate drop.
Interesting.
I would say once you start getting over that, the ideal number is about 25 leads per agent per month. If you're running at 50 leads per agent per month, it's just too much for them. We've taken some agents out of lead flow and seen their pipeline grow while taking on no new leads. I've got one agent on my team who he's gone down to part-time. He's 65 years old. He was full-time with me right before COVID back in February. He was talking about going down to 3 days a week, and he's gone down to 3 days a week. And what he did is he's one of my listing partners, so he takes care of the listings in a specific area, but he narrowed down his database to his top 100 people. So he had like 1,600 people in his database. He narrowed it down to his top 100, and he's gotten very, very intentional with that top 100. he's already had his best year. It's July 15th. He's already had his best year.
All right, so I love that. So everybody who's listening, secret to success, cut it back to 3 days a week, reduce the number of people you work with and make sure they're the right people, and earn more and golf more.
Yeah, absolutely. Who wouldn't want to sign up for that?
So you said something that's like, I don't know, for me, I hope people go, because you said if you give your agents too many leads, what happens is they stop nurturing, and so they don't really work the B's and the C's, they work the A's. But when you have the right number of leads coming in and the number was 25, they have a higher level of conversion and they're hungrier and they work better with the people that you give them. I hope that everybody listens to that and understands the concept behind it, because it's such a true business principle that we follow. 25 to 1, every 25 leads you add a buyer's agent, and if you don't, you should turn down your lead count, right?
Absolutely. It's kind of funny because the majority of business starts happening after the 12th touch, yet the majority of agents don't even call back the second time. So if you can put systems in place to continue to follow up with them until you make that connection and build that relationship and then maintain it, you're going to be so much further ahead. One of the things that we track is the time from when a lead entered our database to the time that they closed. And this morning, when I looked at that stat, when I look at all the closings that we've had this year, the average time that a client was in our database until they closed was 523 days.
Wow. 18 months.
That's the average. So if you don't have the systems in place to continue to follow up with them, you're going to miss out on a ton of business. I was talking to Jim Knowlton this morning, and my agents keep coming to me with new transactions that they're putting under contract where the lead has been in the database for 9 to 14 months. Hey, Mike, you're never going to believe this. I just had another lead finally call me back. It's been in the database for a year. I haven't talked to him in 6 months. I keep reaching out, no response. They're just ghosting me. And now I have an appointment with them. And now I have a BA with them. And now I'm under contract with them. So that's the biggest piece of our business right now, is that 9 to 14 month in our database. Those are the people that are converting at the highest level right now.
Okay, so it's like a sweet spot. So what do you attribute that to? Are you doing the ABCs religiously? What's your lead conversion or lead follow-up process?
Yeah, we're doing the ABCs religiously. I coach my team members too, and part of the business numbers that we look at every month is how many A leads they have, how many B leads they have, how many C leads they have, how many new leads are they bringing in each month. And several of my agents have 40 to 50 A-level leads. It's just a matter of finding the right inventory for them. So we're working a lot of different programs right now to find off-market inventory to try to satisfy that, and we can't do it fast enough. But we work our ABCs religiously. We make sure that every buyer is on a very dialed-in property drip. Make sure that we're sending them religiously the properties that best fit their search criteria. We also set every one of them up on a market report. I learned this from another coach, that by setting up the buyers on a market report, which will show them sold and going under contract, that it creates a more educated buyer. So if you get somebody who wants to come in and they want to submit an offer $40,000 below asking price, if they've been on this market report and they've seen that homes in our area are selling for 100 to 110% of asking price, they know that low ball offer is not going to work. So having them all set up on a market report has been huge. And then just using our systems to find out who is active that we haven't talked to recently and reaching out to them as well.
I love that. So Ellie is like absolutely focused, and I love where her mind is. She's got another ISA question, and I know what she's thinking. What she wants to know is, like, she says, I want ISAs that will set appointments for me so I don't have to prospect and I can just go and list houses. I know Cleve Gaddis runs a program like that. What's your thoughts on that?
Is that Ellie Feldman?
Yeah.
Tell Ellie, just come see me. We're in the same marketplace. We'll have lunch together. No, I think that's great, Ellie, because as you're building out your team, you're going to see that your dollar per hour is going to grow. And you're going to have to start focusing on those activities that create the highest dollar per hour. And knowing that Ellie is a strong listing agent, if you can basically set it up so that your day is spent on listing appointments, and then after you bring the listing back to your team, you have somebody else going out and doing your profile sheet and doing your photos, Try to get to the point, Ellie, where you're focusing your time on that highest returning dollar. But yeah, having an ISA who's going to prospect for you, follow up and leverage your database, that would be great. I just don't have that person on my team right now.
So we have several coaches that do that business model. They'll have two ISAs that are just frankly just appointment setters, and they work for sale by owners, expireds. They work to the database. They reach out. They do client touches with the goal of setting a certain number of appointments every week. And that's how we have tremendous growth with some of our listing partners is that. But so for me, this is just Verl giving you some coaching here. But for me, until your listing partners are doing, I'd say more than 70 listings a year, I think that you probably don't need an ISA. And so once you get to that 70, it's probably time to start moving forward with that. And we've had, this has been a great call, Mike. We have a lot of people that have joined us and saying hello to you. Brett Magleby, who I haven't heard from in a long time, from Idaho, is here. Cliff Freeman, great EXP leader, has a tremendous following, has joined the call with us. So hi to him. And Caprice Gunn, our Utah connection, great coach and broker consultant, is just killing it out there. You got a lot of fans, my friend.
Yeah, those are all great people. It's funny, Tammy Slay said you're amazing. I think she's absolutely amazing. And her and I had a great phone call last night. We spent about 45 minutes on the phone just strategizing different things we could do with our teams. And it's going to be fun. We're looking forward to having maybe a little team-on-team challenge here as we come out of the summertime.
Mike, I would never bet against you, but until you have a Southern accent, it's really hard to compete with the Tammys of the world. It's just they can be so tough and sound so sweet.
You're picking up that great accent hanging around Tammy and Christy Buck
all the time. So, Mike, what advice would you give to a new team leader, someone who's starting a team that wants to do it right, that wants to make sure they don't screw it up, that doesn't want to make all the mistakes that so many of our teams make? When we go in, and you know this in coaching, how many times you have to go in and undo things. Like if someone's starting out, how do you start them out on the right foot? And I don't mean just tell them to get a coach. I mean, like, how do you really help them? What are 2 or 3 things that you would have them do?
Assuming that their business is already to the point where they're ready to hire some more help. They need an admin, they need a buyer's agent, and maybe they're growing even more and they need another listing partner, is not to go too fast and put the wrong people in those chairs, because it can hurt you more than it can help you. I can't stress enough the hiring process, and be slow and deliberate. Hire slow, fire fast. Be very deliberate. Don't shortcut the process of hiring. Some of our team members say, gosh, it took me forever to get in here. Well, by design, when we hire, the first couple interviews are really designed around making sure they're the right fit. I don't really care about the skill level. I'd rather have somebody on my team who's a great fit, who I can help get to 40, 50, 60 transactions a year, than bring in a top producer who's doing 40, 45, 50 transactions a year is a cancer. I mean, that's going to disrupt everything. So hire for fit, understand what your culture and your core values are, and hire people that are going to fit that. I have a coaching client of mine who just released her entire team. They pushed back. They didn't want to use any of the Workman tools. They absolutely pushed back on everything, and she released her entire team. And she let them know, hey, these are the 15 things to be on my team, and we can talk about you coming back, but this is what the expectation is. So hire people that clearly understand the expectations and are going to follow the Workman way. So I think that would be the biggest thing. Never take your foot off the gas on the listing side of things. You're going to need to maintain listings in order to generate all the other leads, and everything circles around that listing. We talked about for every listing, you should also generate 1.5 buy-side transactions. I looked at one of my new coaching clients' numbers, and we determined that already year to date, based off of her listing sales, that she's missing 30 to 35 buyer-side sales.
What?
Well, on an average $10,000 commission, that's $300,000 of GCI that she's missing out on. So don't take your foot off the gas on getting the listings, and then leverage those listings to acquire more business.
I love that. I love just don't take your foot off the gas, period. So, I had a coach tell me one time, you either have to, take your foot off the gas or hire some stronger people around you. I'm like, I didn't even hear the first part. I don't even understand what that concept is.
I just heard hire. So, and that's something too, Verl, is that we learned a long time ago when we thought our team was in a good spot, maybe maybe a year in, we had 6 total team members who were like, hey, this is a great spot. I'm very comfortable. We could just sit right here. And my coach kept telling me, hey, you always have to be looking to fill the pipeline. You never know when somebody's going to get pregnant and then, they might be out for a few months. You never know when somebody's going to get tired of the business, when somebody's going to leave, when COVID's going to come around, and now some of your team members have to stay at home to educate your kids. We just don't know what's coming. So you always have to be hiring. You can't stop. Just like you can't stop picking up listings, you can't stop looking for top level talent.
Yeah, that's nothing truer could be said about building your team. Is you're constantly looking to top grade, right? To look for people who have the potential to be better than your best people. I'm constantly looking for that. I'm very fortunate at Workman Success that I've got such an A team of people that it's hard to top grade this group because they're so talented. So now I'm just looking to make sure that we do the right things and we create an environment where I get to keep all these good people.
I'm just hoping someone want to move to Wisconsin at some point because they'll have an immediate job waiting for them.
Yeah, my assistant Irene moved to California during COVID because she says we've all been working virtually anyway, so I might as well work from here. And you should have seen them lining up to try and hire her away from me. So, so far, knock on wood, I'm keeping her. Ellie's it's fun. It's kind of fun that Ellie's in your same market and you're giving her tips and advice, and you say, "Come call me and I'll help you be better at this." And she says, "I love the family." So it's kind of cool that that's the culture that you perpetuate so well. Is we just give.
Yeah, you can't ever have too many good relationships, right? And Ellie's in my market, and I want to have a great relationship with all the agents in my marketplace. I mean, we can help each other. There's enough business out there to go around to everybody. So why not have fun when doing it? Ellie and I have been involved in some transactions together, and we just know that we are going to take care of each other, and we're going to get to the closing table because we got agents on both sides of the deal that are strong performers, are going to help their clients out. So I think that's awesome that she's asking some questions, and I got no problem helping somebody out in my marketplace.
See, I love that. So many people have this scarcity mentality there where they're afraid that someone's going to copy what they're doing. And that is just not your personality. You're like, here, take it all.
No, Ellie was looking for some information on our MVP club, and I'm like, hey, here's a folder. There's like 15 documents in there. Knock yourself out. So go ahead.
I think that I've learned that there's enough business out there for everybody. And if you share and you're willing to give, that it comes back to you, and oftentimes in much bigger things. So Mike, this is just a bonus question, and like it's on my notes, so I got to ask you about it. But what is it about the water you love so much? What got you inspired to be the co-founder of the Blue Water Business Consortium? What is all that all about?
So, from a young age, I've just loved the water. I was a certified scuba diver at the age of 12. That's as early as I could take the test. So I've been certified scuba diver since I was 12. I've logged well over 100 dives. I was on the Capital City ski team, when I was 16 years old, grew up on the ski team and grew up on the water, fishing, skiing, just all kinds of recreation. When I financially was able to finally afford it, and my wife and I have built a lake house that we try to get to as often as we can. We raise our kids on the water. I don't know if I can put my finger on what it is about water, but if I've got some downtime, if I need to recharge, if I want to have some fun, getting on the lakes, getting in the ocean, we go on vacation, I have to see the water. Unless I'm going out to Montana on a hunt and I'm going to be in the mountains. If I'm going on vacation, I want to be able to see the water. And we joined a couple organizations to help with that. We're members. I was a board member of the Peatmore and Castle Rock Stewards, which is a citizens group who is working towards improving water quality on 2 large lakes in our area. And then with the River Alliance of Wisconsin, I helped found the Blue Water Business Consortium. This is businesses who have partnered up. So I'm the only real estate company, but we've got canoe and kayak companies, we have breweries, we have campgrounds, people who are vested into water quality, and we started that Blue Water Business Consortium to bring business together for water quality. So I just love being around the water. When I showed you my team photo, in the background of that team photo was Lake Mendota. So that's one of our area lakes.
Yeah, that's really cool. I kind of missed the background you had that had the kayaks and the paddles and the all the water stuff in your background. You kind of a more of a business look.
Yeah, I'm back in the office now. So when we were shut down for COVID, I was working on my lake house, and I made an area in my office. In the background, I had our 2 kayaks because at the time it was March, the lake was still frozen, and I just loved the look of it. And every time I walked in my office, I saw my kayaks. It put me in a happy spot. But now that I'm back in the office, you'll see those on Mondays and Fridays when I'm trying to work from the lake house on Mondays and Fridays now.
So, Mike, what does the future hold for you and your family and your team? What does the next couple of years look like for you?
We want to keep growing the team. We just hired an awesome marketing coordinator. We hired another buyer's agent. We're looking for some additional staff, 3 or 4 more as soon as we can. We're negotiating right now on some new office space. We've outgrown where we're at, so we're looking to double our office space. We want to grow our team and find more high quality people so that eventually I can morph into that CEO role and not be in too much production anymore, but running a really strong team that I can spend my time on guiding and helping them create the lifestyle for their families that they're seeking.
And then, of course, on the water.
On the water. Yeah. And coaching, coaching. I've got some great coaching clients all around the country. And I love coaching weeks, diving in there. I'm busy running a team. And of course, allocating all that time to coaching and allocating all the time to training that we do as coaches, it's a huge time commitment. But when I can look at my coaching clients and know that one of my clients in Texas has $10 million of pending business on their board right now, and they never hit that level. When I have a coaching client, Rob out in Burbank, who 4 out of the first 6 months of the year was #1 in his office of 200 agents, impacting these guys in that level is awesome. So coaching will continue to be part of when Mike decides to not be as aggressive in real estate as he is. Coaching will still be a part of that.
Music to my ears. Well, Mike, thank you so much for being part of our Facebook Live today. And more importantly, thanks for being part of the Workman family. You're a tremendous asset and you're a tremendous giver and a great coach. And there's nothing that I miss more than getting together for coach training. And I can't wait for this COVID to get solutions to COVID, because we've got to keep everybody safe so we can all get back together again soon.
Yeah, absolutely. And if Ellie's still on the call, Ellie, give me a call. Let's get together for lunch.
Everybody, thanks for being here. I appreciate your comments. Thanks for the questions. For Mike Koch, from all of us at Workman Success Systems, stay safe, and we'll see you on next Wednesday's Flash Briefing.
Take care, everybody.